r/AskReddit. What's the most high risk, low reward thing you've ever done? I once followed a young homeless man I just met because he wanted to show me where he was staying. It was nighttime and he invited me down into a dip in the trees. We walked through a dark section of forest, then he showed me some rocks and small caves with a couple beds set up. Then we left. I literally followed a stranger into the dark woods because curiosity? Suicidality? An old man and a kid are walking into the woods. The kid says, "Boy, these woods are scary." The old man says, "At least you don't have to walk back alone." I once climbed an old truss bridge to get some neat pictures of myself. I climbed under it and sat on the beams beneath the bridge. I climbed to the very top. I hung off the edge of the bridge above several rocks. Once I got done and showed the pictures to my friends, and they said they sucked. But you made a nice and interesting memory. There are people that do this kind of stuff regularly, maybe without even taking pictures. There are also people that do this kind of stuff and they fall off and die, and then they also don't have that interesting memory. Walking into my house as a confident 15-year-old with a cigarette in my mouth telling my dad things, "We're gonna change around here." The hit I took that day forever changed me as a man, as it's the best I've had yet. So yes, things changed. I never tried anything that foolhardy again. I still get ringing in my right ear and I never ever told my mom because I fear her more. LMAO, what the hell do you thought was going to happen? Thought I was gonna be a man. I was quickly put in my place as a teenager with a backhand that came from the ankles. Did it work? I can still feel the handprint on my face. Taking a year in a program I wasn't interested in to try and get a girl who turned me down instantly. Dick decisions are always the worst. Don't feel too bad. I had a friend turn down a full scholarship to Johns Hopkins because she met a guy at a local college when we were taking classes there to finish up high school. She decided to go to that college instead. Her and the boy she changed her life for didn't make it through the summer. 17 years after she graduated high school, she's finally, this year, graduated med school. Climbing up a water tower when drunk to find a friend. Turns out said friend was not even lost. He was yelling at me from the base of the tower. Oh, that reminds me. We got the bright idea to go rappelling off a cell tower at like 3 in the morning. This was not a spur of the moment decision, it was planned. After we were done we were pulling the rope down, and I guess we had left a knot in it. Rope gets stuck between the tower's vertical and horizontal supports about 15 feet out from the ladder we were using. Like it was stuck. At least 50 feet off the ground. I wasn't about to leave my $100 climbing rope hanging there, so I climbed up. No rope. And walked out on this 15 feet crossmember balancing with nothing to hold onto. Made it to the vertical support where the rope was caught, kicked it down, and then had to make it back to the ladder. Obviously I succeeded, but about 30 minutes after I got down I had the worst stress headache I've ever had in my life. I was puking, my head hurt so bad. I think I was 16 or 17 at the time. It wasn't even that fun. A rock face is much better than just hanging in empty space and sliding down the rope. Balanced on the top rung of a 6-meter ladder to change a light bulb at work. I started smoking. Like, WTF is this stupid thing? It has literally no benefit, it just makes me uncomfortable when I don't do it, and when I do it as well. Duck cigarettes. I have been smoking for 23 years. Got a cancer negative CT. Haven't touched a cigarette in 2 months now. Letting my mom count to 0. Once my mom started counting backwards from 5, and I started counting down from 3. She stared daggers at me and asked what I was counting to. I said that's how much time she has to stop pretending she was going to do shit when she got to 0. My spirit lives on to warn others of my misfortune. Wait, you mean some people count down to 0 instead of counting to 3? What sort of Australian reverse bullshit is this? I'm Australian and my mum counted to 3. Don't blame this madness on us. Sent my boss a glitter bomb. Never told anyone who sent it. The whole organization, thousands of people, know it happened. Boss flipped out when glitter went everywhere. I'll never tell anyone. Edit, a little more background. No one likes this boss. I actually accidentally walked into boss's office the second after it was opened by accident. Glitter everywhere, all over them, a huge pile on their desk, and scattered around the computer, keyboard, their hair, the carpet. They were pissed, and I had to stand there and wait for the reaction, which was nuclear meltdown. They tried everything to figure it out. The company is great, and they will not disclose, lol. Everyone was questioned, lol. In the end everyone just went about their business, and the boss looked bad for blowing it out of proportion trying to rally their bosses to find me out. I was terrified I'd be found out and fired punished. I had already been fired from my position by this person for communicating a work stoppage. This was very long ago, and I no longer work for the organization. They are no longer with the company. In a strange twist, the boss was removed from her position for being a monster. That sounds like low risk, high reward. I was in band in high school. I had a friend from middle school that was also involved in athletics at the time, and the two of us were outcasts among the greater band nerd population, and often got talked down to, which even our instructor would join in on from time to time. At the time flipping backpacks was popular, taking things out of the backpack, flipping the backpack inside out, returning the items to the bag, and zipping the bag back up. One day when we had a substitute in, and he had the class watch the typical BS Mozart movie from the 80s again. I found a mega bag of zip ties, and convinced my buddy to help me flip every student's backpack, zip tie the bags closed, and then zip tie the bags into the instrument lockers, while everyone watched the movie. If we got caught and reported, the instructor 100% would have suspended us, so we were on extra edge, and right as we were wrapping up, the substitute locked eyes with us from across the room and realized what was going on and decided to pretend nothing happened, and we completed the mission right on time. The class was very pissed as the lights flicked on and they saw what had unfolded. The substitute came back for a class later that year and talked to us, saying he had to actively try not to lose his shit when he saw what was going on. I ducking love you, Mr. Hudson. Reporting you old been a high effort low reward action for him. I stole every wheel off the chairs in my high school's computer lab as a joke during a 20-minute break. I still have one of them. Probably cold gotten expelled, just for a slightly funny joke and a useless chair wheel. I skipped class after a standardized test. Literally the afternoon teachers were showing movies and doing nothing, and I decided it was smart to get in school suspension, to sit behind a warehouse and nap with my dumbest friend. My senior year, I figured out that I was legally an adult, so I could literally just leave whenever I wanted. I was an F&D student, but when I started cutting class early, my grades went to B's and C's because I had time to settle in at home, get an early start on my homework, and still had enough time and energy to play games with my friends on Xbox Live. My hippie teacher I had a few years earlier once said, and he could have gotten fired for this, give yourself a break, get your grades up, and skip class every once in a while as a way to treat yourself. Paraphrase. It worked, but I don't think he meant to do it once a week. I used to dive in ponds at golf courses to collect the lost balls and clean/sort them to sell back to the courses. It's unbelievable just how many snakes, alligators, and leeches live in those things. I made less than minimum wage and had countless close calls with critters. However, the most dangerous creatures on golf courses are old people. They do not give a duck if you're working. They will absolutely send balls of hard plastic hurtling at your head at 50 miles per hour without a second thought, then get pissed when their ball hit your tank or cart and split open, then demand you hand over some of your recovered balls in compensation. My friends and I used to target and steal those signs that said, if you are caught stealing you will be prosecuted. Many illegal things were done and many hundreds of thousands of dollars of stuff was ignored to steal increasingly difficult to obtain paper signs. I absolutely love when someone steals something worth nothing while ignoring something valuable just for the sake stealing it. I swam in the Zambezi when I was drunk on a tiger fishing trip. Still can't believe I was that stupid. For those that don't know, it's infested with hippos and crocs, known for taking people. Decided to see how fast I could get up to on a nearby neighborhood road. Driving my mother's car no less. Got up to 80 miles per hour in around 6 seconds I think, and by the time I realized I should be slowing down the tires were screeching as I tried to stay on the road. It was a mostly straight neighborhood road, 35 miles per hour, that curved near the end leading to a 4-way stop. I got up to 80 right where the road began to curve, and as I was turning I was going so fast that I went over into the other lane, just a foot or two from going up over the curb. Slowed down and brought the car to a stop at the intersection and my family member sitting in the passenger seat looked over at me as if he had just shit the life right out of himself. I was 19 at the time and got my license that same summer. My passenger was 16. I've never had such a powerful moment of instant regret after that day. I didn't feel cool at all. I could have killed a pedestrian, a child, or myself and my family member. That was the day I truly learned that I could lose my life and have respected all traffic laws since, well, to a reasonable extent. I'm only glad that we came out completely unharmed. I was a free intern for a flower shop. One day there was a shady person walking in the store basement. Somebody said he stole something from the shop and fled to the basement. The shop was in an apartment building, street level, and the basement led to all over the building. So they said to me, a 16-year-old girl, to go to the basement and check the situation out. Well, I was young and dumb and went. Thank God I found no one. I've talked about this before, but Halloween costumes were banned at my high school because of some idiots like 10 years before that dressed up and used it as an excuse to hide their face while they vandalized the school. My senior year, more than half of the class decided that we would still dress up and march into the school together in the morning. We all knew we would be punished right away, but it didn't matter. I stayed up all night making a suit of armor out of metallic duct tape and cardboard, along with a broomstick horse to ride. The next day we all gathered in the parking and waited for everyone to show up. People went all out and there were a lot of amazing costumes, and after about 20 minutes of waiting we started our march in. The deans had learned of our plan and were waiting for us right as we entered. They started pulling people aside in groups and taking student IDs to hand out Saturday detentions. Got to be in costume for all of about 30 minutes before they made us change and gave us our detentions. Except for a few people that wore costumes that couldn't be changed out of, like my buddy Dave that was a Ghostbuster and had nothing under his jumpsuit. Those people got in school suspension for the day along with the detentions.